live or Will's live. I'm so sorry about that. Me and B live we're learning. B live knows everything, but me live is a newbie. So we're working on it. And thanks for joining today. Sometimes life hands you lemons. And once a year, it is befitting to go to this place, pay a ton of money to fancy lemonade. That's the state fair or the local fair, whatever fair is in your area. And hopefully they have tasty lemonade where at the bottom of the cup, there's a inch or two of sugar left over. That's called supersaturation. So that's a great illustration of lemonade. But there has been a topic that I've done videos about in the past called mind the holes in your business principles or your business plan. And what I've talked about before is if we don't understand the conflicts of interest that our business plan or our business strategy creates, then we will inadvertently screw ourselves or others, namely our customers. And I'll tell you a little story about how I met my business partners, how I'll tell you the story of how I met my business partners. So I interacted with one of the two business partners as they were seeking to buy investment properties in our city. And so, as always, when I meet apparently like-minded people, I'm going to tell you about 3 different options. I can broker a deal for you. So I'm a real estate broker, own a small brokerage, own a small property management company, and I am an investor myself. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, we want to invest in Oklahoma City," I'm saying, "Okay, great. I can definitely broker those deals for you." So if you find something or you come across something that you're interested in, then I can help you buy it. We can we can do that deal together. So you come across something and say, "Will, are you interested in doing this investment together?" And then, yeah, we can consider that. And also, I could buy it and you could fund it, and you're just a private money person. So any of those 3 work for me. I really am focused on being open-handed and being faithful with what I have. So that's whatever, your choice. And so we weren't at all focusing on option number 2 or 3. We were just looking at option number 1. So then they go their merry way. They ended up buying a property through a local investment service and then investing in another thing. And then in the process of trying to buy the second property with a local investment service, they sent over some loan rates for this private money loan that the investment service was offering, and just asked me to take a look at it. And it was exorbitant. It felt to me like a person who does some private money loans. It felt like usury. And I had a suspicion that the reason behind the usurious terms was a little bit shady. And so I told him, like, "Hey guys, I wouldn't do it. I think there's cheaper money to be had, and I think there's no reason that you should flush that money down the drain like that." So, just give him my 2 cents. That's what I do. Could also be called the 2 cent show, because that's largely what I do, is just give a little bit of my take on things and hopefully point you to a better way. And so, I didn't think much about it. And then they came back to me a couple of weeks later and said, Hey, Will, we really are thankful for that feedback. Would you be interested in going that second route of doing those deals together? So I said, yeah, let's definitely look at it. So little did I know that the reason we entered into that second conversation, that follow-up conversation where we decided to go down road number 2, the reason we did that is because they had had a few experiences with the local investment service that left something to be wanting. And it actually gave me a fantastic opportunity to look in. I envision it like a beautiful building. Like there's this building that feels so amazing. And it's like, man, how do you do the things you do? You're amazing. And then And then every once in a while, you get to look into the window and you're like, wow, it's abandoned. Huh. That's not nearly as amazing as it looked. And so my conversation with my partners has illuminated to me some of the complexity of this local service, and it has inspired some ire and some disdain. And so I have worked over the past years to set that aside. And then we've actually even utilized their service on a property and utilized the conflict of interest that they so willingly participate in for our benefit. And it was their benefit. The person that it might not have been their benefit, the buyer. Let me flip this around. We'll walk through, and I'm going to do my darndest not to name any people, but it's going to be hard to avoid the name of the investment company. So let's look at this. Hopefully you can see this. Let's just go solo on. All right. So what is Table Investments anyways? All right, check this out. This year, about 30% of our listings have come from our past clients. Most of those sales were investors who had purchased within the last 3 to 4 years. We've been able to help you guys step into bigger properties, pivot to hit new financial goals, or liquidate if you decided real estate wasn't for you. We're pretty proud we've helped you stay profitable in those changes, given the short timeline between acquisition and selling. Curious about selling? All right. We got to do this. How did I meet my partners? Okay. Well, there was this property. That they said had been renovated, and it's just been beautifully renovated. It's been decently renovated, but it's got a tenant in it, and they've been professionally placed, and it's great. And all you have to do is pay $97,000 for it. Okay. They had already purchased this home when I came into the picture, but I did a little digging and found out that it was owned. This house was owned by Toby Brown. Owned by Toby Brown, which locally the name is well known as a real estate investor. A real estate like owns a construction company, owns the Brown Group, a commercial real estate company, and does like residential stuff. Why would Toby hire Table to sell a house? What? That's weird. Okay, so why was it sold at the price that it was sold at? Well, because they sell things at the 1% rule or thereabouts. This one was a little bit under the 1% rule, but therefore, of course, it's a no-brainer. Of course, it's a no-brainer. It's under the 1% rule, y'all. Oh my gosh. So you Cali investors out there, you investors sitting in California in your like $700,000 3-bed, 2-bath home, see $100,000 3-bed, 2-bath home in Oklahoma City, and you go, what? And then you go, okay, whoa, let's check the rent to value ratio. It's better than 1%. Man, I've heard Oklahoma City was great. This is just proof positive in the pudding. I love pudding proof. It's so prudently delicious. Couldn't think of any more peas. So you say, okay, well, hold on. Let's see. Have you inspected it? Oh, you've done an inspection report. How's the tenant? Well, it's occupied. It's perfect. Well, this is amazing. And so you buy it, and then the tenant leaves. That's interesting. The tenant left. Like, why did the tenant leave? Like, you got this like big real estate investor that owns it, and you got this real estate service, that came in and helped broker it, and like, boy, that's interesting. So tenant leaves. AC compressor gets stolen. AC compressor gets stolen right after replacing the whole AC unit because the ductwork under the ground was completely crushed. Therefore, there's no way air was moving through the ductwork in the ground for the past year or two. There were no earthquakes locally. That's not a slow process. Completely crushed. No airflow. Like 10% airflow. Like, if that. Okay, so Doesn't matter. You make your money when you buy, right? All right, so bought it for like 97, 98,000. Put $3,000 for a new compressor. It gets stolen. We'll just call that a wash. Eventually put 7,500 for the new HVAC compressor, plus another 3,000 to run it overhead because the ductwork underground was crushed. And then not to mention some cosmetic repairs, not to mention the cost of replacing the tenant. And so you buy it for like 98, you're all in for about 15,000. Oh yeah, the disgusting fridge because the tenant was disgusting. All right, so you're all in. You bought it at 98, you're all in for about 15,000. So 98 plus 15, 113,000. Okay. What's it worth? $100,000. But wait, this market's insane, right? Isn't that what we got? So on. Isn't that what we said? If you decided, yeah. So if you decided real estate wasn't for you, so here's what happens. Here's what happened in my sorry, I get confused with these solo on solo. Here's what happened with my partners. They bought a house. It was basically misrepresented. It was a sales situation that I would have asked questions about on the front end if I would have seen, like, why is Toby Brown listing with this service that's not a brokerage? It's a service that basically builds up coastal out-of-state mailing lists and sells things at the 1% rule. What's the benefit of that? Well, here's the benefit of that. You aren't likely to know intuitively what the value of something is. Okay, so why does that matter? Because you might buy something that you have lost money on the day you buy it, which is fine, Callie. It's fine if your house gains $10,000 of value every month. It's fine if you're going to hold it. It's probably fine if you're going to hold it for 20 to 30 years. Probably fine. I mean, we don't know. But the fact of the matter is, my partners were in a horrible situation when it came time to sell because they decided that, turns out, the area doesn't align with their total investment philosophy. So let's sell it. No worries, right? You're looking at bringing, in addition to the $15,000 they spent on a turnover because the tenant that was placed was. So in addition to that, they're going to have to bring like $12,000 to closing because it was sold to them above market value. What did the seller pay for such a service? 6% plus 6%. What you mean 3% split both ways? No. When's the last time you saw a cooperative sale from that agency? Very rarely happens. Plus what? Plus a fee? 6% plus a $5,000 fee? What? Who would pay that? Who would pay that? It was 6% plus a $5,000 fee to sell a $100,000 house. Oh, people that have something to conceal. That's interesting. And how likely is it that about 30% of said agency's listings have come from their past clients? Most of those sales were investors who had purchased within the last 3 to 4 years. You don't say. Why would somebody that bought rental property 3 to 4 years ago be looking to sell right now? And then instead of putting them on the open market, which has been phenomenal for the past 2 years, year and a half, why would they go pay you 6% plus $5,000 or whatever that one-time fee is in addition to the full commissions? Why would they pay you that? Is it because you sold them a property with a problem? And now they see an opportunity to pass it on to someone else. It happens. It happens like a lot of times. But what happens when you build a business model around that? But people don't know that, and people don't see that, and they go in without eyes wide open. They go in with these blinders, and they see an attractive front door. They see the 1% rule. They see, well, I don't know Oklahoma City that well, but these people are there. They've got a great website. They've got sharp looking staff. They've got a great mailer. They they do it well. They really do. And I am very happy for the total marketing approach of this company. I just want to beg you as a consumer to look at this as an example of why we should think more deeply about what we incentivize with our businesses, what we incentivize with our business strategies. Because this business strategy incentivizes you to not know, it will prey on you not knowing the market. In the same way that when a friend had a house in a bad part of town to sell, they came to said company who placed a Section 8 tenant paying a crazy rate that the open market would never pay to rent this house, placed a Section 8 tenant in it, and sold it to an out-of-state investor for the 1% rule, actually above the 1% rule because it was all real new construction. After it had been on the open market for about 6 months, at $20,000 below that price. The open market had rejected that home. And by the open market, I mean the one you look at when you hit Zillow or Redfin or Trulia or craftsmanre.com. The open market had rejected this home. The open market looked at it and said, that's a bad part of town. But you stick a tenant with government assistance housing at an inflated rate, drop it on a well-presented mailing list presented by sharp-looking staff, and all of a sudden, babe, that beats the 1% rule. Or that was newer construction, so it was a little bit above the 1% rule. Babe, this is basically the 1% rule, and it's brand new. It's got all new stuff. This is too good to be true. Oh, but isn't it? And again, if you're going to hold that property for 20 years, if they had like this like baptism service where they're like, in order for you to buy from us, we are going to require that you put your left hand up and say, I do not need this money for 20 years because you're buying something that is above market value, but it still cash flows because it's a 1% rule. And as long as you don't need it for 10 to 20 to 30 years, we're good. If that was the disclosure and not maybe a footnote, then cool. If you're going in eyes wide open and say, hey, I just want a service to bird dog properties for me that meet or beat the 1% rule, I don't care where they're located. Time will work itself out in real estate because the interest rates are so low. Oklahoma City's on the rise. I don't care. Don't care about overpaying because time's going to work it out. If that's your perspective, then awesome. It's not awesome. That's fine though. You're going in eyes wide open and you're saying, hey, send me whatever as long as it legit meets the 1% rule. I don't care. That's okay. That's one thing. That would be a more sophisticated mindset. But if you're not, if you're relying on a local provider to give you honest assessments of, hey, would you buy this? And the answer is, yeah, I would. And then the follow-up question needs to be, then why didn't you? And then you need to hang up and you need to text, don't call, text Craftsman Real Estate. We will shoot you straight. I would rather my agents not earn a commission than put you in something that we wouldn't do ourselves. And if we would do it ourselves, then we better have a real good reason for not doing it ourselves. It's one of my biggest takeaways from the Bigger Pockets conference over the last year is that I should have been buying. And I just wasn't. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. The thing I wanted to take the opportunity to juice today is an example of how certain business practices can take advantage of us, people, and you as a consumer need to be on alert, knowing that, man, things aren't always as they seem. And that's true. I don't say that to be alarmist. I say that to speak vigilance and prudence into us. Prudence. By the way, if you haven't read this book, please do. It's The Emotionally Healthy Leader by Pete Scazzaro. Christian, non-Christian, it really doesn't matter. Like, if you're not a believer, you're not going to totally get, you're not going to want to read the Practice on Sabbath Delight. Maybe you should actually. It'll be fascinating. But his section here on prudence is one of the most thought-provoking and inspiring sections of the whole book so far. And I think it's just something we would all do well to increase and to seek is a greater level of prudence. Let's seek to make decisions considering all the factors that are wise to consider, not alarmist or not fear-inducing, but how do we make decisions in view of all the factors? And I think one of the things that I want to say regarding the email that I flashed up is I think that often people don't understand the holes in their businesses. They don't understand how it hurts them. 100%, I do things that hurt other people, and we need to weed that out. We need to root it out, and we need to continually get better. And in order to do that, we need clients, and we need partners, and we need other people who aren't clients or partners to speak truth into our lives in a loving, benevolent way, not in a I'm going to crush you, you turd kind of way, but in a benevolent, loving way. So anyways, all that to say, I don't think table means to do what they inadvertently do, but it's absolutely what happens. And I think that it's fortunate for the approximately 30% of their clients this year that the market was so red hot that they could offload their piece of crap, horribly located, poorly tenanted properties. But that's the greater fool theory, and it's not meant for investing. And it's everywhere in the market right now. I get it. It is everywhere in the market right now. But don't do that. Don't seek a greater fool. Don't be a greater fool. Ask the questions. Why is this home for sale? If the answer doesn't make sense, lean deeper. And if it still doesn't make sense, if there's not a divorce or a death or a sickness or a relocation or a partnership dispute or they've owned it for 27 and a half or 40 years, if there's not a real reason that it's being sold, then the real reason is that the tenant's horrible or the location is horrible or someone's making a lot of money to make the problem go away. Like that's the fact of the matter. So eyes wide open. Let's seek to be making decisions in full view of the factors at play. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, I noticed when I was watching another live stream that I did on BeLive, even with the upgrade that I did on BeLive, that at times, probably related to my signal strength or network quality, at times it was getting really grainy. If you see this and you're still with me, would you post how's the graininess, how's the quality of the video been throughout this live stream? We're going at 24 minutes now. Has it been good all throughout? Has it been spotty? Has it been in and out? And what's something I can do to get better at doing this right here? Bless you and thank you. Look forward to our next interaction, and all things real estate.